This audiobook is not just a collection of words. It is a transmission, a remembrance, a return to the place you never truly left. You have not come here to learn anything new. You have come here to remember what the world asked you to forget. Introduction. That your power is not in what you do, but in what you are. That the most potent forces in existence are not loud, nor frantic, nor forceful. They are silent, subtle, hidden in plain sight. The sun does not scream to rise. The seed does not shout before it blooms. And you were not designed to struggle your way to destiny. There is an unseen force holder than time, softer than breath, that moves the stars, bends fate, and orchestrates the impossible in favor of those who know how to listen and how to let go. You do not need to chase, to beg, to strive, or to plead. You need only to align, to surrender, to remember. Let the silence between these words become your teacher. Let the space between your thoughts speak louder than any prayer. The unseen force is already at work in your life. You're not here to make it happen. You're here to let it unfold. Now, we begin. Not with effort, but with allowing. Chapter 1. The Presence You Never Noticed. There is something moving through your life right now. You cannot see it, but it sees you. It has no name, yet it knows yours. It has no form, yet it shapes your destiny. It asks for nothing, yet gives you everything when you learn how to listen. This is the unseen force, the eternal rhythm behind the heartbeat, the silent breath of the cosmos, the hidden architect of every miracle you've ever experienced. You do not need to summon it. You are already inside it. Every leaf that falls, every wave that crashes, every sunrise that greets the horizontal are whispers of this force moving through existence without resistance. From the moment you opened your eyes to this world, it has surrounded you. A presence, ancient and unyielding. It never shouted for your attention, never demanded your worship. It waited, patiently, quietly, until the day you would turn inward and remember that you were never separate. This force does not respond to desperation. It does not move for noise. It responds only to alignment. To those willing to walk in stillness and meet it at the center of their being. To those brave enough to stop chasing and start allowing. It is not found in struggle. It is not in the rush, the grind, or the race. It reveals itself in the space between thoughts, in the sacred pauses between your plans. The more you try to catch it, the more elusive it becomes. But the moment you release your grip, the moment you stop pushing against the current, you will feel it, flowing beneath your fears, whispering beneath your doubts, stretching like golden thread through every unfolding moment, holding everything together with divine precision. The sages called it different names: the Tao, the light, divine intelligence, the quantum field. But names do not contain it. What it is beyond language, beyond thought. It is the orchestrator of synchronicity, the silent arranger of your most serendipitous moments. When the phone rang just as you were thinking of someone, when the opportunity appeared the moment you let go, when the solution arrived only after your surrender, this is not a coincidence. This is alignment. This is the unseen force revealing its perfect choreography. It is not distant. It is not outside you. It is not something you need to earn or deserve. It is already here. The only veil that separates you from it is your belief that it is missing. The moment you stop fighting life, the moment you stop demanding answers and begin listening with your soul, you will feel its presence pressing gently through the silence. Not with fireworks, not with thunder, but with peace, with calm, with the subtle unfolding of everything you've ever needed. There is a field, as Rumi once said, beyond all striving, beyond right and wrong. That is where this force lives. It cannot be owned, only joined. It cannot be controlled, only trusted. And it begins to move the moment you stop trying to manipulate what's next. The unseen force is your partner in co-creation, not a servant to your demands, but a mirror to your state of being. When you are anxious, it reflects chaos. When you are calm, it arranges miracles. When you are desperate, it remains quiet. But when you become still, open, surrendered, it rushes toward you with everything your heart has whispered in the dark. Imagine this force as a river. You are not the builder of the river. You are not the force that makes it flow, but you can float within it. Let it carry you. Trust that it knows the way. You do not need to swim upstream. You only need to stop resisting, to lay back, breathe, and let the current guide you home. In every breath you take, this presence is with you. In every decision, in every delay, in every not yet, and every closed door, it is working on your behalf. But it can only reveal itself when you slow down enough to see it. The unseen force is like a candle in the fog, subtle, gentle, but powerful beyond imagination. It reshapes timelines. It rearranges matter. It opens portals where none existed before. And yet, most people miss it. Why? Because they are too busy talking over its silence, too busy fixing what was never broken, too busy rushing toward a future that's already been prepared for them. If only they would pause and listen. This isn't about giving up. This is about giving into the greater intelligence that is already carrying your destiny in its palm. You are not abandoned. You are not lost. You are simply unaware of the river you are floating in. But the moment you remember, the moment you reconnect with the stillness beneath the noise, you awaken the force that has been waiting to serve you all along. This is the first initiation, to recognize the unseen, to walk not by sight but by knowing, to feel your way forward, not through logic, but through resonance. This is where the journey begins, not with more doing, but with more being, not with effort, but with stillness. The greatest movements in life begin in silence. The greatest answers rise from the void. And the greatest force you'll ever partner with is already moving beneath your every breath. There comes a moment in every life when striving breaks you, when the endless climb, the pushing, pulling, forcing leads only to exhaustion, not elevation. And it is in that moment, that divine moment of nothing left to give, that the most sacred power of all reveals itself. Not because it was summoned, but because you finally became still enough to notice it was always there. The unseen force never left you. You left yourself by racing outward instead of remembering inward. And so now, you return to stillness, to presence, to the silent power that has waited patiently beneath the noise of your ambition. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of alignment. It is the sacred home of all creation. Every tree grows from stillness. Every wave rises from stillness. Every galaxy was born in the hush before the sound. So too, your life's truest manifestations will not arrive from chaos but from quiet power. From the inner calm that signals to the universe, I am ready to receive. Not through begging, not through clenching fists, but through open hands, open heart, open mind. This is the posture that activates the unseen force, not pressure but peace. In your stillness, you stop chasing shadows and begin witnessing substance. You realize that the real work was never outside you, that the greatest alignment isn't with circumstances, but with truth. In the absence of mental clutter, you finally hear the voice that has been guiding you all along, not a loud voice, not a commanding voice, but the soft resonance of knowing, a knowing that bypasses logic, a knowing that does not negotiate, a knowing that simply is. And it is in this knowing that your power multiplies. You are not here to chase life. You are here to allow it to unfold through you, like a brush in the hand of the divine artist, like a flute through which spirit breathes melody into the world. The less you interfere, the more it flows, and in your stillness, you become a conductor of miracles. You move from chaos to coherence, from panic to purpose, from struggle to serenity. That is the transformation this force is waiting to activate within you. Not when you deserve it, not when you finally earn it, but the moment you stop resisting it. Most people confuse noise with power, action with progress, busyness with significance. But the trees that grow the tallest do not rush. The sun does not scream to be seen. The stars do not strive to shine. They are aligned with the rhythm of the cosmos. So too must you be. The unseen force does not respond to your panic. It responds to your poise. It is magnetized by your energetic clarity, not your emotional desperation. The more still you are, the louder the universe can speak. There is a reason the prophets, the sages, the mystics retreated into silence, into caves, into deserts, into quietude, not to escape the world, but to hear it more clearly. In stillness, you reclaim your spiritual hearing. You no longer need to figure things out. You simply need to feel them through. And that is when the unseen force begins to work with you, not against your current, because the current has always been flowing toward you. It is your resistance that made it feel otherwise. You were taught that surrender is weakness. But here, in this sacred stillness, you learn that surrender is the greatest strength. To surrender is not to give up. It is to give into the infinite intelligence that beats your heart and aligns the stars. It is to trust that the unseen force is always on time, always aware, always arranging what you could never accomplish with effort alone. Stillness does not delay. Results it prepares you for their arrival. It does not waste time. It aligns you with divine timing. So let the world spin, let the noise rage, let the outer chaos do what it will. You are not here to be shaken, you are here to be rooted, rooted in the eternal ground of silence. In the sanctuary of presence, you become immovable, not by standing rigid, but by flowing in total trust. The mountain is not strong because it resists the wind. It is strong because it does not fear the storm. And now, you become that mountain. Centered, steady, sure. Even while the world forgets what stillness feels like, you remember. Practice now the art of stillness. Do not wait until you have time. Make time sacred. 5 minutes of true presence will do more for your life than 50 hours of frantic motion. Sit, breathe. Watch your thoughts. Drift like clouds. Do not chase. Do not judge. Do not grasp. Just be. That is where your power resides, not in what you are doing, but in who you are being. For every seed of manifestation begins not in effort but in quiet alignment with the unseen force. This is your sanctuary now. This is your starting place. The deeper you go within, the wider the universe opens without. You are not here to beg life for blessings. You are here to embody them. Not someday, but now, this very moment, in stillness, in presence, in the remembering that the power you seek is already flowing through you, quiet, steady, eternal. The unseen force never needed to be summoned. It only needed you to be still enough to feel it. Chapter 2. The Paradox of Effortless Power. There is a paradox that governs the rhythm of the universe, one that baffles the rational mind but awakens the soul. It is this: when you stop trying, you begin receiving. When you let go of the chase, what you've been chasing turns to face you. The harder you run toward what you want, the faster it runs from you. But the moment you stop, The moment you rest in your center and align with trust instead of tension, it finds its way into your life as if it had been searching for you all along. We are taught from childhood that effort equals reward, that the more you do, the more you get, that if something is worth having, it must be fought for, wrestled into submission, earned through blood and will. But the unseen force plays by no such rules. It does not respond to strain. It does not reward hustle. It rewards harmony. It answers to energy, not exertion. What you desire most will not be lured by force. It will only come when you stop radiating lack. You see, the frequency of effort is often the frequency of fear. If I don't push, I'll miss it. If I don't grind, I'll fall behind. If I don't control this, I'll lose everything. These are not thoughts rooted in trust. They are echoes of separation from source, illusions that you are alone, disconnected, and unworthy of ease. But when you remember that the same force that spins galaxies is guiding your life, you realize the most powerful thing you can do is stop forcing and start aligning. Think of the seasons. The trees do not rush to bloom. The moon does not plead with the tide. Spring does not panic because winter is long. All things unfold in time, not because they strive, but because they surrender to the rhythm that already knows when to bloom, when to fall, when to be still. You are no different. The truth is, what you want is already making its way to you. But it cannot find you if you're sprinting in the wrong direction. It cannot reach you if your energy screams, "I need," rather than "I trust." Effortless power is not about doing nothing. It is about doing from a place of inner certainty. It is inspired action, not desperate motion. It is flowing downstream with the current of life, not exhausting yourself by paddling upstream. It is knowing that the more you chase, the more you affirm your distance from what you desire. But the moment you relax into faith, not blind hope, but deep energetic knowing, you become magnetic to the very reality you were once chasing. This is not complacency. This is mastery. There once was a man who stood every morning before the sea, tossing rocks into the waves and shouting prayers for his ship to come. Day after day, he begged the ocean for his vessel to appear. But he never noticed the harbor, just a short walk away, where the ship had been waiting for weeks. His eyes were fixed on effort, his mind obsessed with struggle. And so he missed the miracle parked in plain sight. Such is the blindness of striving. Such is the tragedy of unawareness. You may have heard this before. Let go and let God. It is not a cliché. It is an encoded truth, a formula for divine interaction. When you release the reins, the unseen force takes the lead. When you relinquish the urge to control every variable, the universe fills in the blanks with outcomes more beautiful than your best-laid plans. But this requires trust, the kind of trust that terrifies the ego but liberates the soul. The kind of trust that says, even if I do not see the path, I know the destination is being prepared. When you stop chasing, you come into coherence. Coherence is the signature of miracles. It is when your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your beliefs all vibrate at the same frequency, and that frequency is trust. Not the brittle kind that shatters under pressure, but the sacred kind that shines in darkness. The kind that says, even when I do nothing, I am worthy of everything. The kind that removes you from the need to beg and places you in the field of already being. Do not confuse passivity with powerlessness. The most magnetic energy in the world is calm certainty. Have you ever seen someone walk into a room without saying a word, yet every head turns? That is alignment. That is what happens when the unseen force is flowing through someone so completely that they don't need to announce their arrival. Life announces it for them. This is not charisma. This is not confidence. This is frequency. And frequency is felt, not faked. So ask yourself, What am I still chasing? What am I trying to force into my timeline, into my life, into my identity? And can I, even just for a day, release that grip? Not abandon it, but loosen my hold enough to allow the universe to do its work? To trust that what I desire also desires me? That what is mine will find me when I stop running? Here is a sacred experiment. For the next 24 hours, do not try to manifest anything. Do not visualize. Do not affirm. Do not chase. Simply sit in the stillness of already having. Breathe in the essence of enoughness. Walk through your day as if you've already received the call, the offer, the miracle. Not with delusion, but with devotion. You will feel something shift. You will feel reality responding. Because the moment you stop chasing is the moment you become a match. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So become it, embody it, and watch what happens when you stop trying so hard. The unseen force was never waiting for your effort, it was waiting for your surrender. When you align with the frequency of flow, everything changes not just outside but within. You no longer operate from panic, you no longer reach out in desperation. You no longer scream into the silence, hoping to be heard by the universe. You no not believe, not hope, but know that everything is being orchestrated behind the scenes in your favor. You begin to feel the pulse of the unseen force in grand miracles or loud fireworks, but in the subtle shifts, the gentle nudges, the effortless synchronicities that reveal you're on the right path without even trying to be. This is the path of least resistance, not inaction, but inspired, unresisted action. The actions you take from this state feel different. They don't carry the weight of neediness. They're light, joyful, clear. You no longer write to gain approval. You write because the words pour out like a waterfall. You no longer sell to make money. You sell because what you offer flows from your truth. You no longer reach out to be loved. You radiate so much love from within that it circles back to you like the tide returning home. It's the paradox of effortless power. When you don't need something, it finds you. When you no longer crave approval, you're flooded with genuine recognition. When you stop chasing love, love stumbles upon you like an old friend who had been trying to find you all along. To operate at this level is to live as if you already have it, not in pretense, not in play acting, but in true alignment. You are not pretending to be calm, you are calm. You are not acting like you're successful, you are success in motion. You are not mimicking abundance, you are abundance embodied. You become the cause of your reality, not the effect. But to remain in this state, you must become intimate with your energy, not your thoughts, not your to-do lists, not your spreadsheets of goals, your energy. Because energy is what speaks to the universe. You can't lie to the field. You can't fake frequency. You can't say, "I trust," with your words while your vibration is screaming, "I'm terrified." The field responds to what you really are, not what you say. So you must become ruthlessly honest with yourself. Ask, am I acting out of fear or out of flow? Am I posting this because I feel inspired or because I need validation? Am I saying yes because I feel expansive or because I'm afraid to miss out? Every choice you make comes from one of two places, contraction or expansion. One pushes against the current, the other floats with the river. This is why some people seem to manifest effortlessly. It's not that they're lucky. It's not that they have secret formulas. It's not even that they work harder. It's that their frequency is so aligned with their desires that the universe cannot help but rearrange itself around them. They're not forcing the flower to bloom. They're simply being the sun. It takes practice to live this way, not effort. Practice. The practice of awareness. The practice of checking in, not checking off. The practice of listening to the river of your own being and trusting that where it wants to flow is where you're meant to go. You begin to notice things others miss. A subtle gut feeling, a chance meeting, a sentence that glows on the page. These are not accidents, these are confirmations. The unseen force does not shout, it whispers, and you can only hear it when your inner world is quiet enough to receive. That is the great undoing. You don't add to hear it better, you subtract. You don't gather noise to make sense of your life. You release it. And in that stillness, life begins to speak. There once was a woman who spent years building her career on the edge of burnout. She believed that success came only to those who sacrificed. So she did. She sacrificed sleep, joy, and health. Until one morning she woke up and could no longer move. Her body had collapsed from years of being ignored, but something happened in her silence. The clients she used to chase began reaching out. The opportunities she begged for began appearing, not because she worked harder, but because she finally stopped blocking the flow with her urgency. This is what happens when you embody the frequency of flow. You become irresistible to life. You no longer live in time. You live in timing, divine timing, inspired timing, aligned timing. And in that timeline, things do not come when you demand they come when you're ready. Not when your schedule says so, but when your frequency invites it in. You've been taught to push, but the universe opens through peace. You've been trained to speak louder, but the field responds to silence. You've been conditioned to fight for your future, but your future is not something you fight for, it's something you merge with. This chapter ends with an invitation. Begin each morning not by listing what you must do, but by checking how you feel. Ask, am I trying to swim against the river today, or am I letting the river carry me? Then choose flow, choose alignment, choose surrender, not as a giving up, but as a stepping in, into your highest frequency, into the rhythm of life, into the silent, unseen force that has always been waiting to work through you. Not through your grind, through your grace. Chapter 3. The Magnetic Stillness. There is a place within you where all things are still, a place so deep, so undisturbed by the storms of the outer world, that to touch it is to touch the mind of God. In that place there is no fear, no rush, no proving, just stillness, gentle, immovable, timeless. And in that stillness, everything moves. This is the mystery most never see, that the most magnetic state of all is stillness, not the stillness of inactivity or laziness, but the stillness of supreme trust. The stillness of one who knows that the river of life bends in their favor, not because they demand it to, but because they are aligned with its rhythm. The stillness of one who no longer resists the moment, but merges with it, becomes one with the field, and in that oneness begins to bend reality without lifting a single finger. Most people believe that power is noise, that power is in declarations, decisions, and dominance. But true power is quiet. It is invisible, like gravity, and yet it shapes worlds. True power does not rush, it knows it is the axis around which time turns. It is not reactive, it is aware. It is not desperate, it is deliberate. And you, dear soul, were born to sit in that throne of stillness. You've been conditioned to believe that silence is weakness, that stillness is idleness, but silence is the womb of creation. Stillness is the breath before birth. It is the sacred space where your vibration becomes so pure, so attuned, so focused, that the universe cannot help but mirror it. When you are still, you become magnetic, not because you are doing nothing, but because you are becoming everything. The moment you stop chasing, the thing you were chasing begins to find its way back to you. The moment you release the grip, the current carries you further than you ever could have walked. The moment you stop screaming into the void begins to echo back with answers. Consider the mountain. It does not move, yet it commands the sky. It casts its shadow not through effort, but through presence. You are meant to be the same. It was once said by a sage, "Be still and know." Not be loud and persuade, not be fast and prove. Be still, and in that stillness you will remember what you forgot. That you are the field itself, not merely something inside it. You are not the beggar at the gate. You are the gate. You are not waiting for the world to bring you peace. You are the stillness from which peace flows. In quiet alignment, miracles arise not because they are chased, but because they are allowed to land, allowed to bloom, allowed to reveal themselves in perfect time. There is no labor in alignment. There is no panic in truth. There is no anxiety in presence. And this is the state you now begin to embody. You may ask, how do I find this stillness? And the answer is, you do not find it. You stop covering it. You stop distracting yourself from it. You remove the layers, the noise, the constant reaching. And when all of that falls away, there it is, waiting, like it always has been, like the sky behind the clouds. To practice this law is not to withdraw from the world, but to reclaim your center within it, to move through the chaos with a calm that cannot be touched, to become the unmoving center of your own life, while the storms swirl around you without consequence. You begin your day not with a schedule, but with a breath. You enter each room not with expectation, but with awareness. You speak less, but every word lands like a bell in a quiet temple. You act only from inspiration, not impulse. And because you are no longer broadcasting scattered signals, the world responds to you with absolute clarity. This is the secret of the mystics. They said little, but their presence transformed hearts. They wrote few words, but those words outlived empires. They sat in caves and deserts and mountaintops not to escape the world, but to remember the truth of it. That reality does not bend to forsate, bends to frequency. And frequency is found in stillness. Stillness is not doing nothing. Stillness is becoming so whole, so undivided, so internally coherent that the world must rearrange itself around you. You do not seek love, you become it. You do not strive for abundance, you rest in the vibration of already having it. You do not fix your problems, you dissolve them with your peace. Everything you're asking for is already coming. The only question is, are you still enough to receive it? This is your sacred invitation, to stop waiting for external signs to validate your internal knowing, to stop needing the noise of the world to affirm your value, and instead, to root so deeply into your being that your presence becomes the sign, your energy becomes the affirmation, your stillness becomes the prayer that moves the cosmos. Today, become the mountain, not through effort, but through stillness, not through shouting, but through silence, not through doing more, but through being more. Sit for 10 minutes and let yourself do nothing. Watch what arises. And notice how everything begins to come into focus, not because you reached for it, but because you finally stopped moving long enough to let it arrive. There is a power in you that is awakened not by motion but by stillness. There is an unseen force that only reveals itself to those who become quiet enough to feel it. And once you feel it, you will never again go back to chasing. You will sit in your stillness and watch the world come to you. There is a doorway the world walks past every day, never knowing it is there. A threshold hidden in plain sight, not etched in stone or carved into ancient wood, but etched in awareness, carved in presence. Most never enter it, for they believe the way forward must be forged with effort, with strategy, with noise. But those who have tasted the truth know presence is the portal. And that portal does not open through force. It opens through being. Presence is not passive. It is not the absence of action. It is the elevation of your consciousness to such a refined degree that your mere attention changes the outcome. When you are truly present, not drifting into past regrets or rushing into future fantasies, you touch the eternal. You align with the infinite mind that governs all things. In that sacred alignment, your thoughts become prayers, your silence becomes magnetic, and your life begins to rearrange itself, not because you force it to, but because reality always bends to presence. Presence is the meeting point of your soul and the field. It is the altar where the known and unknown shake hands. And yet, in a world addicted to motion, it is the most overlooked source of power. You've been taught to hustle, to perform, to do more in less time, but never to arrive. Not just in your body, not just in your environment, but fully, completely in your now. But this is the unseen force, the invisible current that answers only the frequency of here-ness, not the fragmented now filled with restlessness, but the living, breathing stillness of a soul fully arrived. When you are truly present, you cease being a reactor and become a creator. You are no longer a wave tossed by the sea, you become the tide itself. Presence creates clarity. It pierces confusion like sunlight through morning fog. What once seemed complex suddenly becomes simple. What once felt heavy becomes light. What once eluded you for years now reveals itself in the softness of a breath, not because you chased it, but because you finally stood still long enough for it to find you. Think of the old masters, their paintings, their writings, their teachings. They were not hurried, they were not panicked, they were present. Their words came not from the mind racing toward tomorrow, but from the silence of now, and in that silence, something divine was heard. This is the true abundance you've been seeking, not in bank accounts or material gain, though those may follow, but in the wealth of being here. Fully, completely, undistracted, undivided. When you become present, you stop leaking energy into 1,000 imaginary timelines. You reclaim your wholeness. You gather your frequency into one coherent field, and the universe responds in kind. Even relationships bend in the presence of presence. Have you ever truly listened to someone not with your ears, but with your entire being? When you do, you become a healing field. Their defenses drop. Their pain dissolves. Not because you said the perfect thing, but because you gave them something no one else gives: your full, unbroken attention. In presence, you become medicine. In presence, you become power. And so it is with your dreams, your goals, your visions. Stop scattering yourself across tomorrows that have not yet come. Stop borrowing energy from futures that do not yet exist. Instead, become present with what ice and watch how what will be reveals itself in perfect order. You do not need to control time. You only need to honor the now. There is an old secret passed down by mystics through breath, not ink. Presence is the language of the divine. If you want to speak with the unseen force, you must speak its language. And its language is silence, awareness, attention, stillness. You will never manipulate reality into compliance, but you can magnetize it through total presence. Try this now. Close your eyes. Feel the chair beneath you, the air on your skin, the sound of your breath. Don't force anything. Don't change anything. Just observe. Notice how even the noise in your mind begins to soften when met without judgment. Notice how your body begins to release tension, not because you commanded it to, but because your attention is finally gentle enough to let it relax. This is your power. Not in your doing, but in your being. When you walk into a room fully present, you shift the frequency of the entire space. People feel it. They can't explain it, but they lean in, they listen differently. They respond with more truth, more depth. You become a mirror through which they see themselves more clearly. you become a lighthouse for those still lost at sea. Presence turns the mundane into the miraculous. Washing dishes becomes a meditation. A walk becomes a revelation. Even a simple conversation becomes a ceremony. Because you are no longer skimming the surface of life, you are in it, rooted, anchored, alive. The future you dream of is not hiding in some distant horizon. It is coded into the field you enter when you become fully present. The guidance you seek? Already here. The love you crave? Already here. The abundance you chase? Already vibrating around you, waiting for you to arrive in the one place it can meet you, the now. Let this become your spiritual practice, Seno, to meditate for escape, but to arrive fully in your moment. Let the breath be your teacher. Let the body be your guide. Let life meet you here, not in your plans or strategies, but in your surrender. The stillness you create within becomes the magnet for all things meant for you. Because the unseen force, the great orchestrator of miracles, the field that holds galaxies and breathes life into dust, it only speaks one word: now. Chapter 4. The Paradox of Allowing. There is a sacred paradox written into the laws of the universe, one that baffles the logical mind and humbles the seeker who still believes they must earn every miracle with sweat. It is this: the more you let go, the more you receive. The less you grip, the more the cosmos places gently into your open palm. The moment you surrender the chase, that which eluded you begins to find its way toward you, like a homing bird drawn by the quiet beacon of your inner calm. This is not about giving up. This is not passivity. This is the ancient art of allowing, the forgotten language of alignment. It is the invisible lever that turns mountains, the silent dance with the divine that moves entire realities without force. Allowing is not weak. It is the highest expression of wisdom, for only the wise know that what is truly theirs can never be lost, and what must be forced was never aligned to begin with. You see, you have been taught backwards. Conditioned to believe that manifestation requires friction, that goals must be hunted like prey, that nothing worth having comes without the blood and bone of your labor. But look to nature again, and you will see the lie unravel. The tree does not strain to bear fruit. The ocean does not struggle to meet the shore. They simply allow themselves to be moved by forces greater than their own. That's the secret. The more tightly you hold, the more you squeeze out the very breath of what wishes to flow. Think of the person desperate for love, clinging to every word, every sign, every message from someone they hope will choose them. Their need vibrates not with magnetism, but with fear. And fear always repels. But when they let go, when they release the need, the chase, the anxiety, the universe opens, the heart opens, and love arrives. Not always from where they expected, but always where they are most aligned. This is the paradox. Letting go does not mean losing. Letting go is what creates the space for gain. There was once a woman who dreamed of running her own business. Every morning she would visualize, repeat affirmations, and plan with meticulous detail. But inside she held an invisible fist gripping the outcome, demanding it happen on her terms, by her timeline. And nothing moved. Doors remained closed. Clients did not show. Frustration deepened into doubt. Until one morning, in quiet exasperation, she walked into a field behind her home. She looked to the sky and said, "I surrender. I trust. If this is meant to be, show me how it's meant to come." And in the days that followed, something began to shift, not outside her, but within. An unexpected mentor appeared. A forgotten opportunity resurfaced. Her energy softened, her vision sharpened. And her success arrived, not in the form she envisioned, but in the form her soul truly desired. You cannot force what is divinely appointed. You can only become the version of yourself who is ready to receive it. Letting go is not abandonment. It is alignment. It is the sacred exhale that says, I no longer resist what is. I now trust what will be. It is placing the blueprint of your desires onto the altar of the unseen and walking away not in despair, but in faith. The energy that says, I trust the timing of my life, is the same frequency that collapses time itself and delivers miracles. Allowing is not lazy. It is magnetic. The universe does not respond to force. It responds to coherence. When you are aligned, the field rearranges itself to match your internal frequency. Your job is not to control the outcome, it is to calibrate your vibration to peace, trust, joy, and wholeness. From that frequency, all things come, and without it, nothing you chase will satisfy you. The river flows not because it pushes. It flows because it follows gravity, the unseen intelligence pulling it forward. In your own life, there is a gravitational pull toward destiny, but you cannot feel it when your hands are gripping everything in fear. Only the open hand can receive. Only the open heart can attract. Only the open mind can perceive the pathway hidden in plain sight. Ask yourself now, what am I still trying to control? Where are you holding so tightly that your hands are bruised from the grip? What outcome have you turned into an idol, believing that without it, you are not enough? These are the places the unseen force wants to flow, but it cannot until you create space through release. Let go, and it will come. And even if it doesn't come in the way you expected, what arrives will be better, wiser, deeper, more aligned with the soul you are becoming. This is the art of sacred non-resistance. It is the principle that governs miracles. Every story you've heard of sudden alignment, of impossible odds overturned, of divine timing making the pieces fall perfectly into place, every one of them began not with more doing, but with letting go. You do not need to try harder. You need to soften. You need to relax into your own life. You need to allow the force that spins planets and orchestrates galaxies to do what it does, best bring you exactly what is meant for you in the exact way you are meant to receive it. And this you must remember. What is meant for you will always find you, but it needs space to enter. Create that space now. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the method. Let go of the need to explain, prove, convince, or control. Let go of the version of yourself that believes you must earn what you are already worthy of. Allow, trust, receive. In the space of allowing, the unseen force moves freely, and it always moves in your favor. There comes a point on the spiritual path when you are no longer invited to try harder, but to be stiller. A moment when the universe whispers not, "Go get it," but stand still and let it come. And it is in this space that the deepest paradox of all is revealed. What you chase runs from you. What you relax into begins to arrive. It is a law embedded in the very mechanics of reality. Chase implies lack. Pursuit implies separation. And separation cannot birth union. You cannot become one with that which you are running after. Your very reaching pushes it away. But what you accept as already yours, what you embody, what you become, the frequency of you naturally draw in. The one who chases love screams into the void, "I don't have it." And the universe, which only echoes, responds, "You don't have it." The one who stills themselves breathes deeply into the knowing, "I am love," and love meets me in every form, receives it from unexpected corners of reality. Not because they demanded it, but because they matched it. Chasing is a declaration of not enough, and that declaration vibrates like static, repelling the very harmony you seek. Stop chasing, and you begin to allow. Stop pursuing, and you become magnetic. The flower does not pursue the bee. The sun does not beg the earth to orbit. The tree does not run to find the wind. They simply exist in their radiance, and that radiance draws everything meant for them into orbit. The unseen force, too, does not move under pressure. It moves through alignment. When your energy relaxes into sufficiency, the field around you begins to shift. The forces you once believed were out there begin showing up in here. Within your emotions, within your environment, within the subtle turns of events that seem, to the untrained eye, like coincidence, but to the awakened heart, feel like destiny unfolding with perfect grace. You must stop playing the role of the beggar when you were born as the heir. You are not here to chase scraps from the table of the universe. You are the banquet. And when you remember that, all things return to their rightful place. Think now about your life. Where have you been chasing? Where have you been broadcasting lack with your thoughts, with your anxious hoping, with your constant needing? What would happen if you chose, today, to stop the chase? Not because you gave up, but because you finally woke up, because you finally remembered that what is truly yours cannot miss you, and what isn't will only drain you. The field only responds to wholeness, and wholeness is not something you find, it's something you remember. To stop chasing is to remember your inherent connection to all that is. To rest in the unshakable knowing that the same intelligence that forms galaxies also beats your heart, arranges your breath, and is more than capable of guiding every desire into perfect fruition. The story of Liana reveals this truth with elegance. She was a designer hungry to be discovered, obsessively submitting her work to contests, cold emailing agencies, shouting into the void of social media. And for your silence. Until one day, burnt out and broken, she deleted her apps, stopped applying, and returned to the joy of her craft. She made beauty not for the world's approval, but for her own soul. And in the weeks that followed, a single image of her work shared by someone else caught the eye of a renowned brand director. Without chasing a thing, her world changed. Because energy doesn't lie. The frequency of lack can't fake its way into abundance. But the frequency of ease, of joy, of inner contentment, that frequency is irresistible. You are not here to chase. You are here to align. Stop running toward the dream and become the vibration of the dream itself. Let yourself become still enough that the dream can recognize you. Let it find you not through your noise, but through your signal. The field does not hear your words, it hears your state. So if you want more, feel like more. Not because you faked it, but because you freed yourself from the lie that you were ever anything less. Receive. Let this be your new command. A command spoken not with your mouth but with your being. There is no more noble posture than the open hand, no greater magnet than the heart that says, I trust. Allow the current of life to carry you. Stop swimming upstream. Stop running in circles around your desires. Let the desire come home to you. Not because you deserve it though you do, but because you finally stopped acting like you don't. In this universe, it is not force that wins. It is frequency, not effort that manifests, but energy. So, stop chasing. Sit. Breathe. Feel. Align. And receive. Because everything you've ever wanted is already circling you. It's only waiting for your stillness to find its opening. Chapter 5. The Stillness That Moves Worlds. There is a power so subtle, so silent, so entirely invisible to the human eye, that it escapes nearly everyone who seeks it. And yet, this power is the origin of everything. Galaxies were born from it. Oceans rise and fall to its rhythm. Dreams are seeded in it, and lives are reshaped by it. It is not chaos, it is not effort, and it is not noise. It is stillness. Not the kind of stillness that is passive or void, not the numb kind, born of resignation or fatigue, but a living stillness. An alive, pulsing, sacred kind of silence that hums with infinite intelligence. It is the doorway to source. It is the place where the unseen force reveals its face. We live in a world obsessed with motion, where worth is measured by momentum, where busyness is mistaken for purpose, and where silence is feared because it cannot be controlled, labeled, or monetized. But ancient wisdom knew better. The mystics, the sages, the ones who walked before the world drowned in its own noise, they knew. The greatest movements of spirit happen in silence, in stillness. In that sacred pause where time stands still and eternity seeps through the cracks. In stillness, you do not become less, you become more. You do not vanish, you remember. And what you remember is the most important truth you'll ever hold. That you are not the noise. You are not the storm. You are the calm beneath it. You are the quiet awareness watching it all unfold. You are the silent field upon which the dance of life is performed. When you return to stillness, you return to the throne within. You return to the seat of power that cannot be touched by chaos. In stillness, you become the unmoved mover. You no longer react to the world, you influence it, simply by your presence. Stillness is not emptiness. It is not nothing. It is everything unshaped, waiting, potent. It is pure potential. The raw field of the unseen before form arises. When you enter it, when you dwell there, you are standing at the womb of all creation. And from that womb, anything can be born. The sages of old would journey into deserts, caves, forests. Why? To escape the world? No. To return to the pulse beneath it, to touch the source. And when they returned, they carried with them power that moved nations. Because stillness doesn't weaken you, it charges you. It fills you with the kind of quiet certainty that doesn't have to scream to be heard. There once was a monk who sat beneath a tree for 40 years. His name was known by none. His words were recorded nowhere. But people came from miles around just to sit near him. Why? Because stillness radiates, and presence is a force field. You don't have to say anything when you've touched the infinite. Your silence says enough. And that is what you must now understand. The world does not need more action. It needs more alignment. It doesn't need more voices, it needs deeper listening. The deepest transformations do not come from noise. They come from silence. They come from the moment you stop talking, stop trying, stop solving, and listen. It is in stillness that you hear the soul. It is in stillness that the divine downloads its messages. It is in stillness that clarity arises, peace returns, healing begins, and manifestations line up in ways the rational mind could never orchestrate. Stillness is where you meet the truth. Not the truth of the world, the truth of you. The truth of what you are, beyond thought, beyond fear, beyond effort, the eternal awareness, the unshakable presence, the silent witness through which all things arise and pass. When you learn to rest here, even for a moment, you come into contact with something stronger than any force in the physical world, the immovable presence of the divine within you. And when you act from this place, you don't miss. Your words land, your steps align, your energy does more than your hands ever could. This is the quiet power of those who walk in alignment with the unseen force. Their power isn't in what they do, it's in who they are being when they do it. Stillness is not laziness, it is not inaction, it is prior alignment. It is calibrating yourself to the divine current before you move, so that when you do move, the universe moves with you. And that is the difference between burnout and boundless flow. You've been taught that stillness is a luxury, but it is a necessity, a portal, a birthright. You must stop treating silence as an enemy and begin treating it as your sanctuary. Let it be the place you retreat to, not because you're escaping, but because you are returning. returning to the space where you are not defined by your achievements, your mistakes, your image, your failures, but simply by your being. The world will try to pull you away from stillness, because stillness is the one thing it cannot manipulate. But you must resist that pull, because the deeper you rest into your own stillness, the more clearly you'll hear the call of your true life. The one that doesn't come from outside, the one that arises from deep within, the one that is already yours, waiting, ready, alive. And when you hear it, when you hear that call from the center of your being, you will know what to do, and you will move not from fear, but from power. Not from pressure, but from purpose. Not from noise, but from the unseen force moving through your stillness. That is mastery. And it begins in silence. Imagine, for a moment, standing in the middle of a vast desert at night. No movement, no voices, just the hum of the wind across ancient dunes and the stars glowing like scattered memories across the black. You close your eyes, and for the first time in years, there is no sound. No thought you have to catch, no action you have to take, there is only presence. And in that presence, something subtle begins to stir, something you didn't even realize had gone missing. This is the frequency the universe listens to, not to the screaming demands of a frantic mind, not to the endless checklists or the roar of ambition. The cosmos doesn't answer begging. It responds to resonance. And resonance is born from silence. The greatest miracle you can perform is the one where you return to the quiet place within. Not once, not twice, but as a daily devotion. When you stop spinning, the universe notices. When you drop beneath the chatter, the signal strengthens. When your mind stills, the field begins to move on your behalf. You are not a machine. You are not built to endlessly produce or to constantly pursue. You are an instrument, a divine tuning fork for infinite frequencies. And the clearer you become cleared of noise, cleared of attachment, cleared of resistance, the more sharply you ring with the truth of your being. And truth, my friend, is magnetic. You must understand that the invisible world responds to coherence, to the calm heartbeat, to the steady breath, to the energy of someone who is no longer trying to control but is instead aligned. Aligned with the rhythm of the real, aligned with the pulse of life, not the panic of society. There is a reason the sages withdraw, a reason the masters meditate, a reason the prophets climb mountains to be alone. It's not because stillness is indulgent, it's because stillness is a transmitter. The silence within you becomes the station through which universal guidance, intelligence, and grace begin to broadcast. When your mind quiets, you begin to receive. You hear not with your ears, but with your soul. You see, not with your eyes, but with your knowing. You begin to feel the presence of something far beyond what logic can explain. The unseen orchestration that holds together galaxies and your next step. It is not your noise that manifests. It is your clarity. It is your ability to listen deeply. To act only from alignment, not from reaction, not from fear, not from impulse. That kind of action carries the weight of divine timing. And divine timing is never late. Take the story of Matteo, a young man whose life was a frenzy of attempts. He wanted success so badly that he tried everything, dozens of ventures, endless hustle, round-the-clock effort. But every time he pushed, life pushed back. Doors slammed, leads fell through. He called it bad luck, until one afternoon, burnt out and breathless, he wandered into a quiet park and simply sat. No phone, no agenda, just sunlight through trees and the ache of his own stillness. And in that hour of doing nothing, an idea arose, effortlessly. So clear, so inspired, it felt like it didn't come from him at all, but through him. That single idea became the foundation of the life he had always chased. But it didn't arrive through trying, it arrived through tuning in. The universe is not transactional, it is vibrational. It doesn't trade effort for reward. It responds to alignment. When your energy is clear and calm, the invisible field takes notice. When you no longer rush, it begins to rush toward you. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual physics. The mind that is still is the mind that can finally hear the instruction. It's not that the universe wasn't speaking. It's that your thoughts were too loud to hear the message. So, what is the practice? It is simple, but it is sacred. Begin each day not with a plan, but with presence. Before the world begins to speak, sit and listen. Let your thoughts fall away like autumn leaves. Let your breath lead you back to the quiet center. Do nothing, not for hours, but for enough time that the noise recedes. In that silence, ask nothing, expect nothing. Simply be, and then listen. Not with your ears, but with the whole of your being. And, if the answer does not come that day, know that it is still working. The silence is still tuning you. The field is still shifting. Because you, my friend, are becoming the space into which miracles arrive. Stillness is the magnet for divine instruction, and the divine will not scream over your thoughts. It will only enter the place you've cleared for it. So, clear the space. Every day, not just once, not just when you're lost. Make it a ritual. Make it your sanctuary. And slowly, beautifully, your life will begin to hum with that deeper harmony. The unseen force is not elsewhere. It is here, it is now. But it cannot move through you if you are too full. Be still. Be open. Be ready. And then watch as the universe begins to move through the silence you dared to create. Chapter 6. The path opens when you stop paving it. There is a strange illusion many carry without knowing a belief, tucked quietly behind every affirmation, every vision board, every goal. It whispers, if I just try hard enough, it will all finally work. But let me tell you what the ancients knew, what the mystics whispered under moonlight, what the sages carved into the stone of their lives. The universe does not open to the hammer of force. It opens to the soft hands of surrender. Not surrender as defeat, not surrender as collapse, but surrender as sacred alignment. You were taught that effort is king, that struggle earns favor, that pushing hard enough somehow forces the doors of destiny to swing open. But what if I told you that the greatest doors in the universe are motion-activated, responding only when you stop trying to kick them down? You do not manifest by breaking in, you manifest by tuning in. Let that sink deep. In a quiet mountain village lived a woman named Celine. For years, she worked 3 jobs to manifest her dream, a small healing retreat for weary souls. She saved, she planned, she pushed. But every step felt like walking against a storm. Investors pulled out, properties fell through, illness came. And one winter morning, with hands trembling from exhaustion, she finally fell to her knees, not in defeat, but in surrender. She whispered into the cold air, I don't know what else to do. I give it to you. That was the moment everything shifted. Not because she gave up, but because she let go of the grip that had been choking the dream. Within weeks, a stranger visited her local cafe. They struck up conversation. The woman happened to own a small piece of land she no longer needed. A perfect location, a perfect price, no applications, no effort, no push, just grace. You see, surrender is not what you do when nothing else works. It's what works when nothing else can. Because surrender realigns you with truth. It unclenches the fists of the soul. It creates the space through which the divine can finally breathe into your life. Many people pray with one hand open and the other gripping the wheel. They speak of trust while trying to control the outcome. They light candles while planning the escape route. But the universe hears what you are, not what you say. To surrender is to release the lie that you are alone. To surrender is to step into the river and stop swimming upstream. To surrender is to say, I trust that life is wiser than I am. I trust that what is meant for me will not pass me. I trust that I no longer need to hold the world up with my bare hands. You were not made to carry it all. You were made to be carried by something ancient, intelligent, loving, and vast beyond measure. But you must step aside for it to step in. There is a moment only you know when you realize your trying has become a wall, that your effort has turned into resistance, that your constant doing has pushed you out of flow. That is the holy invitation. That is when the sacred doorway appears not in front of you, but within you. Close your eyes, breathe. Place your hand on your heart. Ask yourself, where am I still trying to control what I should be surrendering? Not as a punishment, not as a failure, but as an invitation to live in deeper harmony. Let your life be less about making it happen and more about letting it unfold. Surrender does not mean you take no action. It means your actions come from peace, not panic, from alignment, not anxiety, from guidance, not guessing. It is the difference between rowing and sailing. Both may move you, but only one allows the wind to carry you. The wind is real. The current is real. The flow is already moving in your favor. But if you're gripping the oars, insisting on your own way, you might just miss the grace that's trying to land at your door. Every spiritual tradition speaks of this letting go. The Taoists called it effortless action. The yogis called it Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to the divine. The mystics of every lineage, whether they wore robes or rags, spoke of the same thing. Release is power. When you drop the weight of needing to figure it all out, you rise. When you release the need to prove, push, and perfect, you remember who you truly are. You are not the doer. You are the vessel. You are not the architect. You are the sacred space where the divine plan unfolds. Your job is not to force the outcome. Your job is to open to it, to make yourself available for miracles, to prepare your energy to receive, to say ye seven when you don't yet know what you're saying yes to, because the universe will always respond to a soul that surrenders. It will rush in to fill the space that your striving once occupied. It will weave unseen threads that no amount of strategy could stitch together. But first, you must make room. So today, perhaps even now, set down the burden. Speak aloud if you dare. I surrender. I release control. I invite the divine flow to guide me. And then, breathe. Let silence fill the cracks where noise used to live. Let the current carry what your hands no longer need to hold. Let the unseen force do what it has always longed to do, move your life with power, precision, and peace. Because the most courageous act is not to keep pushing. It is to finally trust the wind. What if I told you that the very universe you inhabit, the one that spins galaxies and births stars, does not move through pressure, deadlines, or performance, but through a language of rhythm, flow, and intuitive unfolding? And what if I told you, beloved soul, that you are designed to speak that language not with your words, but with your presence? You see, we have been trained in the dialect of effort, conditioned to speak in terms of hustle, taught to climb every mountain as if stillness were a sin. But there is an ancient dialect, the mother tongue of the cosmos, that does not strain to be understood. It is the language of water, of breath, of the moon's silent dance through phases. It is flow. Flow is not passivity, it is potency untethered. It is not laziness, it is laser precision with zero resistance. It is not absence of action, it is action aligned with divine timing. Flow is how the rivers know where to turn. Flow is how the birds know when to migrate. Flow is how your heart beats without your permission, and how breath returns to you even when you forget to inhale. There is a deeper rhythm to this life, and it is always speaking to you. But you cannot hear it if you're always shouting your own instructions. You cannot feel it if you're clenching with control. You cannot ride it if you're busy paving your own path with cemented expectations. Flow begins when you stop trying to outpace the wisdom of your own soul. It begins when you pause out of defeat, but out of reverence. When you finally say, I am willing to let life show me how it wants to move through me. This is not about being aimless. It is about being aligned. There is such a thing as right action, but it doesn't come from force. It comes from stillness, from listening, from sensing the movement beneath the surface of things. Like a surfer doesn't create the wave, they simply learn to catch it. Like a dancer doesn't choreograph the wind, but lets it move through their limbs. Like a tree doesn't push itself to blossom, it just knows when the season has come. You too were born with this knowing. But it got covered over by schedules, expectations, and the compulsion to always do something. Flow is your native state. It's the home you forgot how to return to. But now you're remembering. You're remembering that the moments in your life that worked out best were never the ones you micromanaged into existence. They were the ones that felt effortless, inevitable, like you were being carried instead of climbing. You're remembering that when you stop chasing, things come to you. When you stop overthinking, clarity dawns. When you stop overplanning, grace sneaks in like sunlight through a window you didn't even know you opened. A man named Theo lived this truth in silence for years. He was an architect, brilliant, but rigid. He planned every detail, obsessed over every blueprint, trying to force beauty through symmetry. Until one day, a spontaneous visit to a Japanese garden shifted everything. He stood there for hours watching koi glide, bamboo sway, pebbles arranged with meaning he could not explain. Nothing in the garden was perfect, and yet everything was. No ruler, no measuring tape, just flow. He went home and burned his latest plans. Not in anger, but in honor. And from that moment forward, his creations changed. Clients came without advertising, awards arrived unchased, and most importantly, he began to feel again. Joy, freedom, peace. He no longer worked. He allowed beauty to work through him. He had become a vessel of the unseen force. Because when you operate in flow, you align with the universe itself. Your life becomes a poem, not a checklist. Your purpose becomes clear, not because you figured it out, but because it revealed itself in stillness. You don't have to move fast. You just have to move in rhythm. You don't have to be first. You just have to be aligned. Alignment will take you further than speed ever could. And alignment is only possible when you stop interrupting the path with your need to pave it. Today, ask yourself, where am I forcing what wants to unfold? Where am I sprinting when I should be listening? Where am I clenching when life is asking me to soften? Softening is not weakness. It is strength in its most surrendered form. It's how clay becomes art. It's how light becomes healing. It's how you become unstoppable, not because you never stop, but because you know when to. Flow is the realm where miracles happen, where solutions appear before the problem has fully formed, where opportunities arise without resumes, where love knocks before you've made a profile, where everything you thought you had to earn arrives because you finally learned how to allow. And it begins the moment you whisper, I release the need to force. That moment, that is the crack in the shell of your old self, the fracture through which the light gets in, the holy breath that says, you no longer have to make it happen. You only have to let it happen. The unseen force has always known your name. It has always known the route. It has always known the hour. And it has been waiting for you to remember that the path opens when you stop paving it. Now take a sacred breath. Let it enter gently. And let it remind you, flow is not something you earn. Flow is your birthright. Chapter 7. Stillness is the most powerful signal. In a world where noise is currency, stillness is rebellion. In a culture that rewards the loudest, the busiest, the most relentless, choosing silence, calm, and inwardness is an act of holy defiance. Yet it is within this very stillness that the greatest manifestations are whispered into being. You were taught that in order to be heard, you must speak louder, that in order to be seen, you must move faster, that to be taken seriously, you must be doing, always doing. But the universe does not hear your shouting, it hears your signal, and the clearest, most magnetic signal comes not from your effort but from your energy. Energy speaks before words. Energy speaks when your lips are still and your mind no longer scrambles to explain. Energy speaks in the pauses between your thoughts. And when your energy is in harmony, when your vibration is quiet, steady, aligned, the universe rushes in to answer you. It does not respond to the volume of your voice. It responds to the quality of your vibration. You could whisper, and mountains would move. You could say nothing, and the doors would still open. You could be still, and yet the whole cosmos would reorient itself around you. Because stillness is not absence. Stillness is signal. Stillness is command. Stillness is not doing nothing. It is doing everything through alignment. There is a story told among the elders of a man who sat by a well every day. He did not speak of his desires. He did not strategize or network. He simply became a presence quiet, certain, deeply still. For weeks, he sat in the same place, his face softened by peace, his eyes clear with inner knowing, and without effort, travelers began to stop. Not because he called out, but because his stillness called them. They sat near him, listened to the silence around him. Some cried, some healed, some left and returned with others. Eventually the man was asked, "Why do you just sit here? You do nothing." He smiled gently and replied, "Everything I need already knows how to find me." He did not chase. He became a beacon. You too can become such a beacon. Not by striving, but by refining your energy into stillness. You see, when your energy is fragmented, desperate, noisy, it sends unclear signals. It tells the universe, "I don't know what I want." It radiates confusion, which only attracts more chaos. But when you still yourself, not out of resignation, but reverence your frequency, clarifies, it becomes pure, it becomes powerful. Stillness is the sacred tuning fork of the soul. It is how you come back into resonance with all that is. When you are still, you align with the rhythm of the stars, the sway of the trees, the wisdom of water, the pulse of all creation. And from this alignment, manifestation is not a chase. It is a gravitational pull. It comes to you because you have become the place where it belongs. Remember, it is not your words that manifest, it is your state of being. And being cannot be faked. It must be felt. It must be lived. Stillness is not just quieting your voice. It is quieting the need to prove, explain, justify, defend. Stillness is knowing you are already enough. Stillness is trusting that what is yours can never miss you. Stillness is walking into a room and letting your presence do the talking. The masters, the sages, the ancient ones, they all knew this. That power does not require noise. That intention does not require volume. That presence, real presence, transforms more than words ever could. In a small mountain village there lived an elder who was known not for his teachings but for his presence. He would sit beneath the same tree each day, never preached, never taught. But when people sat beside him, they left changed, not because of what he said but because of what he was. He had become stillness. He had become frequency. And the world around him rearranged itself in response. Can you feel this truth within yourself? That your most magnetic moments were not the ones where you tried the hardest but the ones where you were the most present, the most grounded, the most at peace? Your stillness is a declaration. It says, I am no longer chasing, I am allowing. It says, I trust. It says, I no longer send mixed signals. It says, I remember who I am, and the universe, being what it is, cannot help but respond, because it too is still. It too is silence. It too operates not through noise, but through signal, through frequency, through energy. This is why your manifestations will multiply when you stop over-talking, over-sharing, over-planning, when you drop the constant narration and simply embody the state. Become the one who already has it, and watch it arrive. Not because you screamed for it, but because your stillness called it forth. Let today be the day you remember the language of stillness. Let it be the day you choose signal over speech. Let it be the day you release the addiction to action and reclaim the truth of alignment. For the unseen force flows not through the loud but through the tuned. There is a field beyond the noise, a vibration beneath the static of the world, a current of sacred intelligence that listens, that receives, that moves in perfect response to a single quality within you: peace. Not the kind of peace the world gives, dependent on circumstance, fleeting, surface level, fragile, but the kind of peace that emerges from within like an ancient memory returning to the soul. The kind of peace that is not dependent on whether things go your way. The kind of peace that does not need outcomes to be perfect in order to remain intact. The kind of peace that is a choice, not a result. When you cultivate this peace, you send out the clearest signal in the universe, a signal of surrender without fear, a signal of desire without desperation, a signal that says, I am no longer at war with life. And this signal is magnetic. This signal is miraculous. This signal is what begins to bend reality around you, because peace is the evidence of faith. Peace is the proof that you have remembered the truth that all is working for you, not against you. And when you choose peace, when you choose stillness, when you radiate calm in the midst of uncertainty, the universe recognizes you as ready, ready to receive, ready to be trusted with more, ready to walk in harmony with the unseen force that has been guiding your life all along. You may not realize it yet, but your inner state is the loudest frequency in any room. Not your words, not your clothes, not your plans, your state. And when your state is calm, when your heart is settled, when your nervous system is at rest, your entire life begins to recalibrate. What you've been chasing begins to arrive. Not because you've changed your hustle, but because you've changed your hum. Every desire you hold has a home frequency. A peaceful relationship has its frequency. Abundance has its frequency. Radiant health has its frequency. If you're operating from anxiety, frustration, or panic, you're tuned out. But when your energy is serene, your breath steady, your spirit anchored, you become tuned in. And when you're tuned in, you receive. Think of the tree. It does not climb the sky. It does not chase the sun. It remains grounded. It drinks deeply from the earth. It grows slowly and surely in stillness, and the light finds it. The rain nourishes it. The birds come to it. Life moves toward it. Your being is like this. The more rooted you are, the more still you become, the more life begins to move toward you. There once was a monk who never left his monastery, yet people traveled across oceans just to sit in his presence. He spoke few words, he offered no grand solutions. But his peace was so deep, so quiet, so real, that people left him transformed, not because he gave them anything, but because his signal reminded them of something ancient within themselves. And this, beloved, is your hidden power. When you stop trying to convince the world, you begin to transmit something far more powerful. The signal of peace is the most profound declaration you can make. It tells the universe, I remember who I am. It tells your desires, you are already on your way. It tells life, I am no longer resisting. This peace doesn't mean you give up your goals. It means you give up the strain. It doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means your actions are no longer coming from chaos. They arise from clarity. They emerge from flow. They spring from a deeper place where you no longer doubt whether you are supported. Because now you know. Peace is the platform upon which divine timing can land. Peace is the gate through which the unseen force flows. Without peace, you block it. With peace, you become it. So the practice is not to do more. The practice is not to ask harder. The practice is to breathe, to return, to rest in the stillness that always existed beneath the noise. It is only when the lake is still that it reflects the sky. Likewise, it is only when your mind is calm that you can see clearly the guidance that's been waiting for you. You may ask, how do I cultivate this peace? And the answer is not a technique, it is a decision. You decide to stop feeding the worry. You decide to stop overanalyzing. You decide to stop measuring your life by what has not yet appeared. You decide to remember, I am already in motion, even when I cannot see it. You decide to align your thoughts with trust. You decide to speak to your body with gentleness. You decide to sit in silence, see no as absence, but as communion. You decide to become the calm you once waited for others to give you. And when you do, miracles unfold not with thunder but with grace. You'll begin to notice synchronicities more often. You'll begin to find that solutions appear without force. You'll begin to experience days that flow rather than fight. You'll feel that time slows down, that beauty returns, that joy begins to visit you in unexpected ways. Because you, dear soul, have stopped resisting. And in your surrender you have become a vessel of sacred alignment. This is the unseen force at work. This is the language of the divine. Not shouts, not panic, but quiet peace. A deep, resounding stillness that says to the universe, I am no longer seeking power. I am becoming it. I am no longer chasing light. I am embodying it. I am no longer waiting for permission. I am remembering the truth. So pause now. Feel your breath. Let it deepen. And hear this one final truth as it echoes across all planes. Your peace is your power. Your stillness is your signal. And the moment you stop pushing, everything you desire begins moving toward you. Chapter 8. The Divine Architecture of Delay. In the sacred rhythm of the cosmos, nothing arrives early, and nothing is ever late. You may believe you are waiting, stuck in limbo, watching the world move past while your desires seem suspended in the air, but know this. The delay is divine. The delay is design. What you call a pause is actually precision. What you call a setback is sacred scaffolding. The universe is not holding your dream hostage. It is perfecting the structure upon which it must stand. There are no accidents in the delay, no wasted time, no barren seasons. What seems like silence is symphony. What appears stagnant is sacred stillness, preparing the soil for the magnitude of your manifestation. Just as a sculptor takes time chiseling the invisible before revealing the form, so too does the unseen force chisel your path, your spirit, and your life. Every second is a setup. Every pause is preparation. You are not waiting, you are becoming. Remember, the oak does not rush from acorn to tree. The stars themselves spent eons in darkness before revealing their light. The womb does not release life too soon, for divine timing governs every birth. Why then do you judge your waiting as wasted, your delays as defeats? The truth is, your impatience is the only resistance. The moment you surrender the timeline, the moment you trust in the slow, holy breath of the universe, you begin to live in alignment. Delays refine you. They deepen your roots before you are meant to rise. They stretch your character to match the size of your calling. They humble your ego, soften your grip, and ignite your faith. For what you are calling in is not small, and big dreams cannot stand on shaky foundations. The delay is not punishment. It is proof that your destiny is weighty, substantial, and sacred. And that which is sacred must be built in secret. Think of the great cathedrals of old rising from nothing over the course of lifetimes. Those who laid the foundations never saw the steeples that touched the heavens, yet they worked with reverence, knowing the vision was true even if it was unseen. So too are the foundations of your life being built right now, with hands unseen, beyond the scope of your current comprehension. You are being aligned, not denied. You are being guided, not forgotten. To walk with the unseen force is to walk with reverence for divine timing. To trust that if something is delayed, it is not yet in the right energetic state to meet you are not yet in the right energetic state to meet it. You are not waiting for the thing. The thing is waiting for the version of you who is finally ready to hold it. Delay is sacred calibration. It strips away what is not aligned. It purifies intention. It ensures that you receive only what is yours by divine right, not what your ego grasped prematurely. And that is grace in disguise. Do not confuse stillness with stagnation. Do not mislabel preparation as punishment. The unseen force builds in silence what will one day roar with glory. Let go of the clock. Let go of the craving. Let go of the illusion that you are falling behind. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are in process. You are on path. Even now, the architecture of your dreams is forming beneath the surface. Even now, what you seek is being shaped with more care than your conscious mind can comprehend. Trust in the blueprint you cannot see. Trust in the unseen scaffolding being laid behind the veil. The delay is divine. The delay is love. The delay is perfect. You do not need to rush what is meant for you. You only need to become the version of yourself who is capable of receiving it, and sometimes that takes time. Imagine you ordered a priceless gift from the divine, a handcrafted treasure, forged not in factories but in celestial fire. Do you expect it to arrive instantly, unwrapped and unrefined? No. You expect it to come in its highest form, perfected and worthy of your soul's yearning, and so it is with every desire you've whispered into the universe. The delay is not the absence of delivery. It is the delivery in progress. There's a holy orchestration occurring beyond your five senses. Conversations you will never hear are aligning your name with blessings. People you've never met are being moved like chess pieces to play a role in your becoming. Laws you don't yet understand are moving reality beneath your feet, like tectonic plates shifting, all so that when your moment arrives, it fits with such elegance that you'll know this wasn't luck. This was divine engineering. You see, the greatest miracles do not come from action alone. They come from alignment. And alignment takes time. Alignment takes pruning. It requires inner shifts that often feel like loss, but are, in truth, sacred rearrangement. The friend who left, the job that ended, the plan that failed, they were not detours. They were divine redirections, cutting away what could not go where you are destined to be. What is delayed is being deepened. What is held back is being held in love. Think of the tide that retreats from the shore. The world sees the receding waters and fears a loss, but the wise know it is the ocean gathering its force before it roars forward in fullness. The same is true for your desires. When you feel them pulling away, contracting, quieting, do not mourn, do not panic. It is the surge preparing. It is life collecting its energy to deliver you something better than you knew to ask for. The unseen force never forgets a single intention cast in clarity. Your desires are sacred signals in the divine matrix, and the universe always responds, just not always in the time or form your mind imagines. Delay is the language of a larger plan unfolding. Delay is the classroom where patience becomes power and trust becomes transformation. The most powerful creators are those who can sit in the silence between intention and manifestation with grace. For they know nothing is wrong, everything is forming. You may look around and see others moving faster, succeeding louder, receiving quicker, and believe you've been overlooked. But comparison is a false mirror. What is meant for you has a vibration no one else can claim. And what is being built for you behind the veil requires a foundation deeper than their applause. Your journey is not slow, it is sacred. It is sequenced. It is sovereign. In this realm of energy, trying to force timing is like pulling on the petals of a rose to make it bloom faster. You only risk destroying what was meant to unfold in beauty. Instead, let your energy rise to match the frequency of what you seek. Become the vibrational match for the life you are calling in, and trust that the delivery is always in motion, especially when you cannot see it. Some of your manifestations require more than your readiness. They require cosmic choreography. They involve the free will of others, the shifting of circumstances, the softening of hearts. And these elements cannot be rushed without compromising the wholeness of the outcome. The delay is protecting the perfection. The delay is ensuring that what you receive is not just what you want, but what will truly serve your highest evolution. You are not being tested, you are being trusted. Trusted to hold faith in the dark, trusted to keep tending your inner light, trusted to keep showing up in love, in stillness, in presence, while the divine architects finish building the bridge beneath your feet. And when it arrives, it will not come with fanfare. It will come with familiarity. It will feel like something you've always known, but finally remembered. You'll understand, with tears in your eyes, that the delay was not a detour. It was the exact distance needed to return to your truth. The delay is the delivery. The pause is the path. And the longer the wait, the grander the reward, not because the universe is playing games, but because it is matching the magnitude of your dream to the magnificence of its manifestation. So, release your timeline. Drop your stopwatch. Unclench your fists, breathe, trust, and bless the delay, for it is a sign that the unseen force is crafting something extraordinary for you. Chapter 9. The Channel Within. There is a space inside of you that has never known chaos. It has never been touched by time. It remains untouched by disappointment, unshaken by delay, and completely unbothered by the stories your mind tells. This space is the channel through which the unseen force speaks. And when you clear it, when you purify the interference and tune your inner frequency to stillness, you do not manifest from will. You manifest from resonance. The unseen force does not respond to noise. It does not respond to frantic asking or emotional desperation. It responds to vibration. And your vibration is not crafted by how often you repeat affirmations or how perfectly you visualize. Your vibration is shaped by what you expect when you are alone. It is sculpted in the quiet. In the places where no one is watching, it is revealed in the emotional tone you hold when there is no outcome to chase. It is broadcasted from the core of your being, not the surface of your words. You are always receiving, you are always transmitting, but what you receive is determined not by what you want, but by what you are willing to become. This is the forgotten art of magnetic alignment. You do not receive what you force, you receive what you are. The frequency of your inner world is your true prayer, and it is that silent pulse the universe listens to most closely. If you carry the frequency of fear, the world will appear as threat. If you carry the frequency of lack, your blessings will always seem delayed. If you carry the frequency of unworthiness, you will unconsciously block every good thing you summon. But if you cleanse your inner space, if you return to stillness and live from peace, your outer reality cannot help but reflect that internal command. You become the tuning fork to which reality harmonizes. Imagine a radio searching for signal. If you're tuned to the wrong station, it doesn't matter how loudly you call out, you will not hear the broadcast. But the moment you align, click, the message plays clearly, uninterrupted. Your life is no different. The unseen force is always broadcasting your next step, your highest potential, your most divine outcomes. But you must match it to receive it. You must become the frequency of that life now. Not someday, not when conditions change, but today, in this breath. Your energy is the invitation. Your peace is the magnet. Your belief not as hope, but as embodimentus, the key that unlocks the unseen blessings trying to reach you. The channel is not out there in the sky or hidden in some distant realm. It is you. You are the satellite. You are the signal, and you are also the receiver. But to receive clearly, you must create stillness. You must unclog the channel of fear, comparison, and control. This is why silence is sacred. This is why presence is powerful. Because in the quiet, you finally stop resisting. And when you stop resisting, you start allowing. And what you allow flows in without obstruction. This is not about being perfect. It is about being clear. It is about removing the static of mental chatter and emotional distortion. It is about cultivating the inner neutrality that allows all good to come. When you stop chasing, you become the space that is ready to receive. And the universe always fills the space you create. Everything you've asked for is already vibrating in the field. It is not fair, it is filtered. It is not latate, is waiting for your signal. And the moment you emit the frequency of peace, worthiness, certainty, that moment it begins to flow. Not because you earned it through effort, but because you aligned with it through resonance. The ones who manifest rapidly are not always the smartest or the most spiritual. They are the most clear. They are the ones who feel safe receiving, who trust the process, who don't micromanage the magic, who don't block the flow by needing to control every step. They know, if I am the frequency of abundance, it must find me. If I am the vibration of love, it must reflect to me. If I become the thing I desire, it has to show up. There is no other outcome. This is the true secret. Not visual boards or perfect journaling, not hours of meditation, but this. To tune yourself as a living instrument to the frequency of the life you are calling forth. To embody it even before it appears, especially before it appears. And when you do this, when you become the match, you no longer need to chase, convince, or control. Life moves toward you. Solutions present themselves. People arrive without effort. Opportunities align with uncanny precision, and the world begins to look like a mirror, reflecting the invisible song you hum within your soul. So today, become the clear channel. Silence the static. Let go of the noise. Breathe into your core and ask yourself not what do I want, but what must I become to receive it effortlessly. Then become it radiate it, rest in it. Because the unseen force always responds to the clearest signal, and when you are aligned, you do not have to move mountains, they move to meet you. There is a truth that once understood, shatters every illusion of separation between you and the life you seek. It is this: your energy is not a reaction to your reality, your energy is the cause of it. The unseen force does not obey your words, your rituals, or even your effort. It answers to your state of being. It obeys your inner atmosphere. It mirrors your dominant vibration. This means that what you hold within you consistently, emotionally, spiritually is the script the universe reads from to deliver your outer experience. It does not listen to what you say you want it. Listens to what you expect, what you embody, what you carry in your emotional bloodstream as truth. So many wonder, why are my manifestations not working? But manifestation is not something you do, it is something you allow, it is something you become. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. Your life does not respond to your effort, it responds to your energetic blueprint. If you vibrate as lack, the universe sees lack. If you vibrate as uncertainty, the universe echoes back a world of delays and confusion. But when you vibrate as peace, as abundance, as joyful anticipation, when you become a sanctuary for what you desire, you command the unseen force without uttering a single word. This is why the masters of old sat in stillness, not striving. Because they understood, stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is the broadcast. When you stop chasing, when you drop resistance, your signal becomes strong. You become magnetic. You attract not by action but by your field. You command reality by the frequency of your presence. And this is not philosophy, this is physics. Your body is an electromagnetic transmitter. Your heart alone emits a measurable field that extends far beyond your physical form. And this field is constantly communicating with the field of life. You are in dialogue with the universe at every moment, not with your voice, but with your vibration. And the universe responds precisely, unfailingly, neutrally. It has no bias. It does not withhold, it does not judge, it only mirrors. It gives you, what you are, what you feel, what you expect, without needing to prove. This is the great invitation and the great responsibility. So the question is not, how can I force life to give me what I want? The question is, who must I become so life cannot help but give it to me? Not out of pity, not out of charity, but because reality has no choice but to match the energy I consistently embody. This is where spiritual maturity is born. When you stop trying to manipulate outcomes and begin mastering your frequency, when you rise from emotional childhood into energetic sovereignty, when you realize the power is not in controlling life, it's in controlling your inner world. But understand, control here does not mean force. It does not mean suppression. It does not mean perfection. It means presence. It means emotional awareness. It means cultivating alignment so deep that no external condition can knock you out of your center. Because when you hold your center, when you choose peace, when things are uncertain, when you choose trust before the proof, when you choose joy before the arrival, that is, when the unseen force moves with breathtaking precision, that is when the pieces align. That is when your external world starts to bend around your internal mastery. The miracles you chase are not waiting for the perfect timing. They're waiting for the perfect frequency. And that frequency is not perfection, it is clarity. It is certainty. It is that unshakable inner smile that says, I don't need proof to believe. I don't need results to rest. I don't need external validation to feel like it's already done. Because it is. And from that place, all things come. All things flow. You stop convincing. You stop pushing. you become the invitation to which life cannot say no. The channel within you is not broken, it is simply cluttered. Cluttered by fear, doubt, mental noise, emotional residue. But when you clear the debris, when you forgive, when you surrender, when you return to stillness, your signal returns. And the moment your signal is clear, the unseen force hears you. And not only hears you, it moves for you. It orchestrates, it aligns, it whispers to people on your behalf. It shifts timelines, it opens doors. And it does so not because you demanded it, but because you became the vibrational match that left it no choice. You are more powerful than you've ever dared to believe. Not because you can force the world, but because you can become the frequency of anything you wish to receive. And when you become it, you no longer need to chase. You sit, you rest, you glow, and life gathers at your feet, wondering how you did so much by doing so little. But the answer is simple. You stopped fighting the mirror, and you changed what it reflects. Now, close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what is the dominant frequency I have been carrying? And what must I become to match the life I say I want? Then let that question guide you not into more doing, but into more being, into more alignment, into more presence. Because when you get that right, the world must respond. It is law. Chapter 10. The Pathless Path. There is a moment in every soul's journey when the maps are burned, the books closed, and the teachings fall silent, not because they failed you, but because you no longer need them. This is the moment when the true path begins, the pathless path. A way not drawn by footprints ahead of you, but etched by the quiet wisdom within. This path cannot be taught, only discovered. Not with eyes, but with presence. Not with striving, but with surrender. You see, the unseen force does not require that you find it. It is not lost. It does not hide. It does not withhold. It is not something buried in the distance waiting for you to arrive. It is closer than your own breath, nearer than your heartbeat. The force you seek is already where you are. It always has been. But there is a paradox. You cannot access it by looking for it. The moment you begin to chase, you place it outside yourself. You make it over there. And by doing so, you sever your connection to it, not because it disappeared, but because your belief in the distance makes it unreachable. This is the secret the sages tried to whisper across centuries. The ultimate power does not come to those who seek it, comes to those who remember. Those who sit in stillness long enough to hear what has been whispering all along. Those who are no longer desperate to be elsewhere. Those who realize the search is the barrier, the seeking is the separation, the chasing is the distraction. Imagine a woman named Leora. For years, she moved from workshop to workshop, book to book, teacher to teacher each, promising to unlock the secret to abundance, peace, enlightenment. She chased rituals, memorized mantras, followed formulas. She filled notebooks and highlighted pages. But her heart still ached. Her soul still wandered. Her life remained a question with no answer. One day, after another workshop promising the final key, she sat beneath a tree in quiet frustration. She exhaled, dropped her pen, and said aloud, "I'm done searching." And in that surrender, something broke open, not in the sky, but in her being. A vast silence flooded her chest, not empty, but alive. She felt it, not an idea, not a concept of presence. Her breath became deeper, her eyes softer. She wasn't found by a teaching. She was found by the truth that had been waiting all along for her to stop running. And this is what awaits you when you stop trying to find your power. When you stop needing the next thing, the next method, the next hack. When you sit in the naked moment and say, "I am enough. I know enough. I have enough. I trust. And I will listen now not to the noise but to the knowing. The pathless path is not traveled with footsteps. It unfolds with awareness. It reveals itself not with planning, but with presence, and its direction is felt, not calculated. It is a moment-to-moment invitation, not a destination. But let us be honest, this terrifies the mind. The mind craves structure, certainty, steps. It wants checklists and conclusions. It wants to know, what should I do next? But the unseen force whispers back, stop doing, start being, be here, be still, be empty. I will fill you. This is the invitation of the pathless path, to dissolve the identity of the seeker and awaken as the finder. Not because you gain something new, but because you let go of what obscured what was already yours. And this is the great cosmic joke. While you were chasing the treasure, you were sitting on it. While you were asking how to get there, you were already home. While you were pleading for the light, you were the light but with your back turned to your own brilliance. The pathless path begins when you stop insisting that it must look a certain way. When you accept that the signs might not be loud, the confirmations might not be frequent, and the rewards might not appear on schedule. When you drop the timeline. When you release the how. When you dare to believe that ease is not laziness, but divine wisdom. When you stop sprinting and let the wind guide you. Think of the river. It does not search for the sea. It flows. And in its flow, it reaches everything it was ever meant to touch. The river does not carry a map, it carries trust. And that is enough. Now, ask yourself, where am I still chasing? What am I still trying to force, find, or fix? And what would truly happen if I stopped? Not stopped caring, not stopped dreaming, but stopped chasing, stopped controlling, stopped living in the illusion that the answer lives outside me. Because it doesn't. It never did. The teacher, the book, the technique, they can only remind you of what your soul already knows. And the moment you stop searching, the voice that's been waiting within you begins to speak. And what it says is not complicated. It does not say, work harder. It does not say, prove more. It says, you are already it, the light, the force, the key. You. Let that land. Let it settle into your bones. Let the search end. Not because you gave up, but because you woke up. And in that awakening, the pathless path opens. There comes a turning point in every spiritual journey, where clarity no longer arrives in the form of answers, but in the freedom to rest in the unknown. It is a sacred shift tone that transforms the seeker from a collector of truths into a vessel of truth itself. In this space, you no longer beg the heavens for signs, because you have become the sign. You no longer ask, what should I do? Because the silence becomes sufficient. You walk not with certainty, but with intimacy with the divine mystery that now walks beside you. To the mind, this is madness. To the soul, it is home. Not knowing is not a curse. It is not failure. It is not an error to be fixed. It is the womb of wisdom, the cradle of becoming. And when you can sit in that space without needing to escape it, you open the gateway to a force that only reveals itself when you are still enough to receive it. You see, the unseen force is shy, not because it is weak, but because it is sacred. It does not shout over your strategies. It does not compete with your control. It waits for your stillness. It waits for your openness. It waits for your humility. And when you finally let go of needing to know, needing to be sure, needing to be right, it appears. And when it does, it doesn't explain itself. It doesn't justify its methods. It simply moves through you, for you, as you. There's a man named Elias, a man who had spent his life planning his way to peace, vision boards, whiteboards, timelines, strategy sessions. Every action was measured, every dream reduced to a formula, yet the peace never came. Only more pressure, more urgency, more future thinking. Then, one night, staring at the ceiling, he whispered the words that changed his life. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore." He expected shame to flood him, but instead, relief. A stillness so profound it made him weep, not because he'd failed, but because he had finally surrendered. And from that place, the guidance came not in a booming voice, not in a grand epiphany, but in subtle nudges, invitations, feelings, one moment at a time. And for the first time, he followed those. The quiet pulls, not the loud plans. His life didn't become perfect, but it became peaceful, aligned, true. And his dreams? They didn't vanish. They unfolded, organically, naturally, without coercion. This is the sacred guidance of not knowing. You are no longer the architect. You are the channel. The blueprint is divine. The instructions are intuitive. And the results are often beyond what your linear mind could conceive. But to walk this pathless path, you must trust in what you cannot yet see. You must trade security for serenity, trade answers for alignment, trade control for communion. And in doing so, you discover the paradox, that by letting go of needing to know, you know in a deeper way, not intellectually, but somatically, spiritually, unmistakably. You'll walk into a room and feel what is right. You'll sense when to speak and when to be silent. You'll know when to wait and when to leap, not because someone told you, but because you've become sensitive to the subtle music of life, the rhythm that underlies all manifestation. But this rhythm cannot be heard by the frantic mind, only by the soul that has made peace with stillness. And this is what the unseen force asks of you. Will you trust it, even when the road disappears, even when the map burns, even when your ego screams for control? Because the truth is, you were never meant to navigate life by sight. You were meant to feel your way, sense your way, trust your way. The most powerful people you've ever known were not those with the most plans, but those with the deepest peace. They walked into storms with the same calm as they did into sunlight, because their power wasn't circumstantial, it was internal. And it was born in the place of not knowing, the place where most people run, but where the wise ones sit. If you are here, it means you are being called into that space, the space where guidance no longer comes from outside you, the space where your inner compass sharpens, the space where your path is revealed, one silent step at a time. You do not need to know what comes next. You need only to be aligned now, and the unseen force will take care of the rest. So release the burden of needing a plan. Surrender the lie that you're behind. Exhale the illusion that you're lost. Because in truth, you are right on time. You are exactly where the universe needs you. And the force that guides planets and births stars is already moving through you. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. You are simply in the part of the story where the road disappears so the wings can grow. And they are growing now, quietly, surely. In the silence of not knowing, your true flight begins. Chapter 11. The Sacred Magnetism of Stillness. There is a power more persuasive than persuasion. There is a magnetism greater than effort. And there is a force, ancient and unseen, that reshapes reality not through willpower, but through the quiet frequency of being. This force is stillness. Not the absence of motion, but the presence of aligned peace. Not the suppression of thought, but the silence that arises when thought is no longer a tyrant, but a servant. You have been taught to hustle, taught to chase, taught to move fast or be left behind. But what if I told you that the deepest transformations, the kind that turn deserts into oases and silence into symphony, are not born from frantic effort, but from sacred stillness? In the ancient temples of Egypt, mystics would sit in complete silence for days before they spoke a single word. Not out of obedience, but because they knew something that modern minds forget, that what you are shapes reality more than what you do. That the vibration of your being is more influential than your words, your strategies, your reach. Stillness is not stagnation, it is activation of the highest kind. It is the field from which true miracles are born. Let me tell you about Ada, a woman who had once lived by schedules, metrics, and measurable outcomes. Her life was a series of projects, each fueled by urgency. But despite her discipline, peace evaded her. Every win felt hollow. Every milestone came with more pressure, until the day her body collapsed under the weight of her own momentum. Her nervous system, exhausted, her spirit, brittle, her energy, scattered. In that moment of forced pause, she expected breakdown, but what came was breakthrough. For the first time, she sat. No task, no outcome. No list, just breath, just presence, just now. And something incredible happened. Her mind resisted at first, screaming for action, but slowly it quieted. Her breath deepened, her shoulders softened, her thoughts slowed. And in the space that opened, something new emerged. Ideas not forced, but inspired. Solutions not calculated, but clear. Opportunities not chased, but attracted. Stillness had become her magnetism. You see, everything in the universe is vibrational, and stillness, true stillness, carries a high frequency, a sacred signature that tells the universe, I trust, I allow, I am ready. And from this signal, the universe responds, not slowly, not randomly, but precisely. When you sit in deep stillness, without grasping, without fixing, without resisting, you become like the surface of a calm lake able to reflect the moon, the stars, the heavens. You become receptive, not reactive. You begin to resonate with what you desire, rather than chase it in exhaustion. And here lies a divine paradox. When you stop trying to make things happen, you make space for them to happen through you. You begin to notice how life has been trying to reach you all along. But your mental noise, your emotional clutter, your constant activity had drowned out the subtle cues. The job that appears out of nowhere, the healing that arrives without the therapy, the love that enters when you stop searching. Stillness is the amplifier of divine timing. It is the tuning fork of the soul. But make no mistake, stillness is not laziness. It is spiritual maturity. It is the audacity to trust the unseen, to anchor your nervous system in safety without needing proof, to sit in power so quiet it shakes worlds. In the Tao Te Ching, it is written, "The master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone." This is not poetry, it is physics, it is metaphysics, and it is manifestation. Because when your field becomes coherent, aligned, and peaceful, reality bends to match you. Imagine the heart of the earth. It does not shout, it does not chase, and yet it holds all things in orbit. Its pull is unseen but irresistible. This is the energy you are being invited into. A gravity not born of action but of alignment. A stillness that does not shrink from life but expands into it. You become the eye in the storm, the oasis in the desert, the warm silence that transforms everyone who steps into your presence. And as you become still, you will begin to see things others miss, hear truths others talk over, move in ways that are subtle but seismic. Because from stillness, your voice will carry further, Your steps will land deeper. Your presence will do the heavy lifting. In this stillness, the unseen force becomes not just something you believe in, but something you are. A silent architect, a magnetic field, a conduit of grace. So breathe. Let the breath soften you. Let your mind settle. Let your body remember its rhythm. You do not have to run. You do not have to strive. You do not have to shout to be heard. You need only to be. And as you rest in this sacred stillness, remember, the most powerful beings in the universe don't try to manifest. They allow the universe to manifest through them. There comes a moment in every seeker's path where the outer journey collapses inward, a turning point where striving gives way to surrender, and rest becomes the most radical act of power. In that sacred space where movement ends, where the soul no longer wrestles and the breath no longer rushes, manifestation begins. This is not the manifestation you were taught by the loudest voices who said, your dreams must be hunted, your goals ground out by discipline and determination. This is not the pursuit of more, driven by the desperation of lack. This is the deep manifestation that arises from still waters. You see, life has never been responding to your effort alone. It has been responding to your frequency, and your frequency stabilizes not in the peaks of motion, but in the valleys of stillness. Just as the wind quiets to allow the fog to settle, just as the womb of the cosmos holds the silence from which galaxies are born, so too must you return to your inner center if you are to draw the unseen into form. There was a woman named Raina. She had spent her entire adult life visualizing success, reciting affirmations, and checking off her manifestation rituals with spiritual precision. But still, life remained just out of reach. Every promotion slipped from her fingers. Every relationship faded like a morning dream. She did everything right, and yet nothing responded. Until one day, after a particularly exhausting failure, she walked into her backyard, barefoot, empty, and unwilling to try anymore. She sat beneath a tree and cried, not out of sorrow, but out of relief. Relief that she no longer had to push. And in that moment, with no ritual, no technique, no plan, something opened. A peace descended that she had never known before. It wasn't relief from results. It was the presence that comes only when all resistance is released. The very next day, her phone rang. A job opportunity she hadn't applied for. A friend calling to reconnect after years. A payment arriving from an old account she'd forgotten. And in the days that followed, more came effortlessly, quietly, perfectly. Because the universe doesn't need you to force what's meant for you. It only needs you to stop resisting it. We often confuse movement with progress and effort with power. But in the highest realms of creation, silence is the force that speaks everything into being. Think of the soil beneath a tree. It does not shout, yet it nourishes. It does not move, yet it gives life. You are being called into that kind of stillness. Not the absence of life, but the presence of deeper life. This kind of stillness is magnetic. Why? Because it aligns your field with the natural geometry of the universe. Your nervous system relaxes, your heart returns to coherence, your thoughts slow into harmony, and your body ceases to war with time. Suddenly, you are no longer trying to make things happen. You are letting what's always been yours arrive. You are letting the divine algorithm handle the timing, the details, the delivery. When you are still, you open. And when you open, you receive. Stillness is not wasted time. It is a sacred appointment with divine flow, a recalibration, a homecoming, a return to the part of you that never needed to chase because it always knew that everything was already on its way. Now, let's talk practically. What does stillness look like in a modern life? It might look like turning off your notifications for 1 hour and letting your breath guide your day. It might look like walking without a podcast in your ears, letting the rhythm of your steps take you inward. It might look like canceling a meeting you scheduled out of fear rather than purpose. It might look like lying on the grass, doing nothing at all, and realizing that in that nothing, everything begins. Because the moment you stop pushing against the current of your life, the current begins to carry you, and it carries you faster, farther, and more effortlessly than your ego ever could. This is the principle of sacred withdrawal. The truth is, most people are addicted to effort. They believe if they stop moving, they'll fall behind. But in the unseen world of energy, stillness is the fastest motion. Like gravity unseen, yet absolute. And just like gravity, stillness pulls what is meant for you. Stillness is not the lack of desire. It is desire refined. It is desire cleansed of desperation, clarified through presence. It is the voice of your soul whispering, "I already have it. Now I simply let it arrive." So the invitation is simple. Sit. Be still. Let go of needing it to happen. And watch it happen. Breathe deeply and feel the truth of these words. The universe moves fastest when I am stillest. What I release returns. What I chase flees. What I allow arrives. What I become becomes me. This is not poetry. This is physics. The quantum field does not respond to frantic energy. It responds to the calm certainty of already having. It mirrors your inner being, not your outer doing. So become the being that already holds the thing you desire, not in your hands but in your heart, in your vibration, in your stillness. In this sacred quiet, you become a lighthouse. You don't run toward the ships. You stay rooted. You shine, and they come to you. Because stillness is the highest form of motion. Because silence is the first language of God. Because you as you are, in stillness are enough to move mountains. Welcome to the final key. The end of effort. The start of alignment. The return to the unseen force. Conclusion. The power that moves when you no longer push. This audiobook was never about teaching you something new. It was about reminding you of something ancient. Something so eternal, so intrinsic, so quietly powerful, that you almost forgot it was yours. Until now, you are not powerless. You never have been. You are not lost. You only wandered far enough to remember the way home. And that home was never somewhere you had to reach. It was the still, unmoving center within you. The quiet field behind your thoughts. The sacred frequency beneath your striving. The unseen force that moves not when you try, but when you trust. Now you know. That real power doesn't roar, it whispers. That divine timing doesn't follow the clock, it follows your vibration. That success, healing, love, and abundance aren't summoned through effort. They are received through surrender. Let this be your sacred truth. What you stop chasing begins chasing you. What you release begins returning to you. What you hold in stillness begins unfolding around you. The greatest shift you can ever make is to stop trying to become and start allowing yourself to be. Because when you embody who you are in truth, when you return to your natural frequency, when you trust the silence, when you follow the current instead of fighting it, the universe bends around you. Reality rearranges for you. The world begins responding not to what you do, but to who you've become. This is not magic. This is law. The law of stillness. The law of trust. The law of the unseen force. So, from this moment on, may you remember, you are the calm within the storm. You are the silence behind the sound. You are the immovable center through which all power flows. And your greatest manifestation is not what you build, but what you allow. Let your life be a prayer of surrender. Let your breath be a song of faith. Let your presence be proof of the invisible. And when others ask how you did it, how your life became so magnetic, so peaceful, so full of miracles, smile. Say nothing. Let the unseen force speak for you, because now you know, and what you know cannot be undone. If this audiobook awakened something in you, if the stillness stirred your soul, if the words met you in a space no voice had reached before, if you felt seen, remembered, restored, then I invite you to take one more step. Like, share, and subscribe to the Sacred Treasures, where ancient wisdom, silent power, and divine alignment live on in every word. More sacred texts, more whispered teachings, more remembering awaits. You are no longer chasing power. You are walking as it. Let's continue walking together.